Hi, we're Marci and Fran, and this is Waupaca Local Live. If I tell you what I'm feeling, if I tell you what I'm feeling, would you walk away from me? If I tell you I feel like leaving, if I tell you I feel like leaving, would you take it personally? 'Cause it's our only feelings, because it's our only feelings. I can't blame you for my sorrow. I can't blame you for my sorrow. Please don't take it personally. If I wait until tomorrow, if I wait until tomorrow, maybe I'll feel differently. Because it's our only feelings, because it's our only feelings, because it's our only feelings, because it's our only my feelings. When I tell you that I need you, if I tell you that I need you, please don't walk away from me. If I tell you that I love you, when I tell you that I love you, please do take it personally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's our only feelings, because it's our only feelings, because it's our only feelings, because it's our only my feelings.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Waupaca Local Live on this brisk January night. My name's Tammy Jo Berg. I'm your host tonight, part of the Waupaca Community Arts Board, and our guests, our special guests tonight, are Marci Buku and Fran Rodemaker. And if you don't know, they're a couple.
We are.
So where did that song come from? Did you write it?
Yes, I did write that. I mean, I wrote down the words. I never write the music out, but yeah, where did it come from? I guess, I think it's really about our heart and our mind, and we always say follow your heart, but sometimes our heart is like on a roller coaster sometimes. And so I know I'm like that, and so sometimes I feel a certain way. I might say, hey, I'm getting out of here, but maybe that's not the right thing. hopefully my mind will override it, or maybe I should leave. I don't know. I think it's just about that, and I don't know what else it's about. I just make this stuff up.
I don't know. It definitely felt like it came from the heart. And
Yeah.
those feelings that you have that you're maybe nervous about talking to a potential new partner, or
Yeah.
can I stay, and how do you feel? And how do you feel? Is that how I should feel? And
Yeah. One thing, I mean, I hardly ever write a song that didn't come from like somewhere deep. I'm not like a songwriter that can sit down and say, I'm going to write a song today, but it'll just sort of happen. And so it's hard to talk about them sometimes because I don't like to talk about stuff, but it's easy to play the music to it for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's because
that's
music is so emotional. I mean, it can grab that feeling like that.
It does, yeah. And I think maybe, I imagine it's like that for other art forms, like painting or sculpture or writing, dance. You know, those feelings that can go through somebody. It's like a channel.
Yeah.
Rose mulling and lapidermy.
Rose mulling and taxidermy, did you say?
I don't know, maybe.
So how long have you two been playing together?
Probably 30 years, maybe. Not sure.
Is that as long as you've been together?
No.
We played before we were a
We
couple.
played before we were a couple.
We were
People
a
thought we were a couple, but we
for
weren't.
24 years or something.
Yeah. We started playing together. I worked at the hospital. Fran worked at the hospital, and then another
Our
friend
friend
of ours,
John.
our drummer from our band, Bubba Ganoush. He and I started working at the hospital at the same time, like 35 years ago, and we would go out on smoking breaks. I didn't smoke at the time, but it was always like the cool people that went out, so I used to go out with them. And he would always be talking about this great music thing he had going once a week with all these people. And I got tired of hearing about it. I'm like, can girls come to this? And he said, well, yeah, you should come. And I had just gotten a mandolin as a gift at the time. And so I started going, and we met every week for years and years and years. That group of people was Dr. Charlie Rathjen,
Charlie
and who
Paul,
else was in there?
probably
Paul
Paul.
Garber. There was just a lot of people that kind of
Jumped
went
in.
through that group.
Probably Bob.
And we called ourselves the Living Room Band. We never really played out, but that's how we got to know each other, through playing music together. So, yeah.
So you both belong to some groups.
Right.
So what do you belong to, collectively and separately?
Oh, okay. Well, Fran, you belong to a group of Irish musicians.
Yeah, I think we call ourselves the Calathumpians, but
The
it's not real
Calathumpians.
official,
Yeah.
you know.
And I can do a
Calathumpians.
plug because the Calathumpians are
Yes.
playing for the Irish Wake that's coming up on March 17th. They'll be at Little Fat Gretchen's.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yep. Then I play with Reinald Coons, and we play all original music. He plays fiddle and mandolin. I play mandolin and guitar, two of us. We were on the show last year or sometime.
Yeah, you were.
Then I play with my friend Crow almost every
Everybody's
week.
friend Crow.
Everybody, yeah. And we just howl and caterwaul and play.
A lot of Tom Waits come out of that.
A lot of Tom Waits,
Yeah.
but all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And then you play with Baba
Play with
Ganoush.
Little Bubba and Big Baba. And
So we have a Little Baba and a Big Baba.
So what's the difference?
So Big Baba is the big band. It's my
There's 6
brothers,
people
2
in it.
brothers, and our former dentist, and our friend John, the drummer, who used to be our coworker. So it's sort of a family band. And then we have a smaller version of that Little Baba, which is just John, Fran, and I, and we play occasionally. And then I play with my 2 brothers, too, Rod, Rick, and myself, as a trio.
So that brings me to my next question. Has your family been musical forever? Or
My family is very musical, yeah. Well, I think around Waupaca, people know my dad was a Frank Sinatra impersonator, and I don't even like to say impersonator, but more like he had a tribute show. So he would educate you on Frank Sinatra. And
but sound exactly like
he
Frank
did
Sinatra.
sound just like Frank Sinatra, and my mom was the sound guy. So it was a really cool show. But my mom was actually the musician, I have to say. She was a kind of a prodigy pianist, and she apparently had a big music scholarship, but she wanted to get from under her parents. So she married my dad when she was like 18. And the reason I think she married him was because he was posted in Ketchikan, Alaska, so she could get really far away from Green Bay. And so she kind of gave up piano, but actually she had her grand piano, and that piano went everywhere with us. We moved like every year when I was a kid. And even when we were in a 2-room tenement apartment, the piano was there. And I used to play under there. That was like my play area with my dolls and stuff. Or I would
Make a
just
good
lay
fort?
there. It was a good fort. And so we would just lay under the piano, and she was really into Rachmaninoff and Grieg and those types of composers. And so that's sort of, I guess it gets in your DNA when you listen to that music from being a child on. But the funny thing is she never made me take piano lessons. I just played by ear, and I was really stubborn. And so I took piano lessons for like 1 year when I was in 7th grade. And that's my main instrument. I mean, I play it way better than these instruments, but that's my story.
Cool.
Sticking to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Fran? Did you grow up with music?
Not a lot. When I was 13, my parents bought a used piano, and I took lessons, and my sister and I took lessons for a few years, and that's kind of where I got started. The store that sold a used piano threw in a cheap guitar with it, part of the deal, a cheap Sears type guitar, and I was more interested in the guitar than the piano. And I know I told the story on the show before, but that first summer with the guitar, I learned 4 songs on it from a migrant worker, a 15-year-old boy or young man who wasn't working that summer because he was underage. Some places he was able to sneak through. He had to be 16, so he hung out with me and my brothers all summer on the farm. The migrant camp was right next to our farm, or the factory they worked. And so he taught me my first songs on the guitar.
And the rest is history.
I guess you could say.
And it was a good age to grow up, I mean, in our age, because that's really when rock and roll really took off and got interesting on top of it, you know. So we have a lot of shared music history, you know, the Beatles, and I always say the Beatles first because I think that was my first influence. But all of the, you know, people like Neil Young and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and Steely Dan and Doobie Brothers and all that stuff. So it was a really great time to grow up, and it's really cool that that music is still being played.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe when we all die off, they'll finally stop playing it, but I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's got a lot of
kind
staying
of timeless,
power.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good melodies and stuff.
So what are you going to play for us next?
Oh yeah, we got to play another song. Okay. I guess we'll play a song. This was a song called Fran's Song.
Oh,
And
deserved it or not, I don't know.
hang on. I'm playing Fran's mandolin, which is a little different than mine, so I'll try to get it set up.
It's not real forgiving. You got to be right on.
You ready?
I sound in tune?
Yep.
I'm a little paranoid about that.
Okay.
Okay.
You are the moon above, shining over me. Sometimes full and bright, and there for all to see. And other times you fade away, but I you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So writing the songs, do you write things together often or not so much?
We don't really.
You haven't been writing a lot for the last few years.
No.
Once in a while, I help you with some lyrics. You have a line missing. Or
Yeah.
something. That's about it.
The
Otherwise,
words are
it's
the
all her.
hardest part. I actually just kind of made something up today, but I get stuck on the words. Fran's actually been writing some really nice pieces on the mandolin that are really sweet. One of them's named after a bird. What is that one called?
The Pine Siskin
The
Waltz.
Pine Siskin Waltz. Yeah. So it's just something that I think it kind of, if you don't put a lot of energy into it, maybe you don't
It's
write as
time
many
consuming
songs.
because I
It's
write
very
the music
time-consuming.
out. And
Yeah, Fran writes everything out with, all of the measures and the notes and everything like that. For me, it's time consuming because if I have a song that I'm kind of stuck on, it's like I can't think of anything else. And it's, it's time consuming, and it has to be really what I feel is a good song for me to put my energy into it these days.
yeah,
but,
she might get out of bed in the middle of the night and be on the piano.
it's
I'll wake up and
annoying.
the piano's being played,
Yeah,
working on a song.
kind of annoying.
So does the tune kind of come to you first or just words? Or
Tune.
does it depend?
I think it's never the words. I
The
can
tune
tell you
comes
that.
first.
There might be a feeling that comes that
Only
I know
feeling.
it's about something, but maybe the melody. A lot of times the chords. I'm a very chord-based person, so it might just come out as certain chords. But like if I sit down at the piano, I have nothing in my head, and I play a couple of chords. If I play them long enough, it'll turn into a song for sure. So I try to not do that too much because I think they might all sound the same. I don't even know why I'm telling you all this stuff. It's a weird
good.
thing.
No, everybody's process I think is a
Yeah.
little different from
Yeah.
writing songs.
But if something is happening in my life that's very, monumental or I feel very strongly about, and I happen to sit down at the piano, it probably will come out as a song. So that's my process, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
And sometimes has it been your experience that when a song is meant to be birthed, it like comes right now?
Yeah, that's happened. That's happened a few times. It just kind of rolls out of you. It's almost like it's someone else is doing it, almost in a weird way. Not that I'm crazy or need to be medicated, but it does happen that way for me.
I can relate totally. And when I was expecting my first son, I wrote a song. It was like 15 minutes. The words came out, the chords
Yeah.
came out, everything was just went boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I know there's synchronicities that are involved with it. so-
Yeah, I mean, I've heard so many songwriters say that they feel that they're just sort of like a channel for something that's out there.
Yeah.
And I've even had songs that I've sort of half-baked thought about, and then I'll hear another songwriter do it. And I think, oh, thank God they got it. I didn't really like it that much. But I really do think that's true.
Yeah.
How will we ever know? I don't know.
Right. Have you both taken lessons throughout your lives, or are you mostly by ear?
By
or-
ear.
By ear.
I just took those piano lessons for
Yeah.
a couple of years. That's all it, really. So I can read music, but it's, reading a simple line of music is a lot easier than trying to read the whole piano stuff. So now I read fiddle music mostly and play Irish music. Now after a few times through a song, I can memorize them pretty fast. Now the style fits
Yeah.
in, so it's fun.
And I think some of that, does it become like second nature once you do it
Some of
often
it-
enough?
Some of the patterns and stuff become second nature. Then when you start playing Scottish music, you really stumble because there's all kinds of
little
variations.
different, yeah.
And on, Welsh and stuff.
Well, it's a language. It's like, now ironically, I teach piano, which is funny because I only took lessons in 7th grade, and I really bluffed through. And when I went to college, I was a music major, but I really was not good at reading notes, or barely could read the notes. I still have to do that all cows eats grass thing. And I did kind of get caught up in college. They realized that I really wasn't able to read music, and I got booted back. And so I really, now that I teach piano, I started teaching piano because a lot of friends' kids, they wanted their kids to take piano from me. And a couple years ago, I took a piano pedagogy course through the Royal Conservancy in Toronto online during the pandemic. And it was really hard for me because I didn't have the professional background or the musical background. So I had to learn all this stuff kind of really fast. I think I probably put more hours into that course than I did in nursing school. And now I'm really adamant that my students learn to read music. And it's like learning Spanish or French.
It is.
It's a different language. It's all in symbols. It doesn't make sense. And nowadays, I mean, kids don't really even learn Roman numerals, but we still call the chords by the Roman numeral name. So it's real funny. But it's very important if somebody wants to go on in music and go to school to have that background. But I don't, I have kids that are learning by ear. And it's just a learning style, I think.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Time for another song.
Uh-oh.
Okay. All right, this is one that it's called Our Love Lives. This one is recorded on our second CD. The Fran song is on our first CD, which you can find on Spotify. And so this song is called Our Love Lives, but actually we call it the honeymoon song.
The second. B string.
So while he's doing that, you said your CDs are on Spotify, but are they Baba Ganoush CDs? Are they?
Yeah.
Baba
Well,
Ganoush.
you can find it under Marci or Baba Ganoush.
Okay.
And there we're done by the band. Yes,
I'm going
ma'am.
to count this out how fast you want it so I
Two,
don't.
two, 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 two. There's a crow in a tree and he's calling out to you and me. And the waves rushing in bring a thunder from the inland sea. When the sky meets the water and the blue turns to tears.
Now we're the
Oh my gosh, now I'm really appreciating the band. There's a lot of little other things that go in there that you just can't do with two instruments. But
Get
anyway,
on my microphone. Sorry.
So do you practice often with each other, or?
not really too much.
Only when something's coming
Yeah,
up.
when something's coming up,
then
we'll
we'll
run through
practice a
stuff.
bunch.
Yeah.
And every once in a while we'll play some stuff together that's spontaneous, but most of the time we're driven to do it. Like when John Prine died, we played a whole bunch of John Prine songs and we recorded them.
yeah.
We'd practice them for a couple hours and then record them and put them on, Facebook or
We
something?
did. We put them on Facebook.
On something. Every day we'd do
yeah.
another John Prine song. And
It was part of our grieving process,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
A lot of people were doing that, so it was kind of
An honoring.
It was
them
a really
too.
kind of a sweet time in a sad way.
Yeah.
Hard to think that was 2 years ago, But yeah, that's another thing about music. It really can help you through, as you know, Tammy Jo,
Yeah.
with
it
all the
does.
work that you do.
It's absolutely a stress reliever. I mean, but both of you
Yeah.
being in the medical field,
Yeah,
and
Oh,
then
yeah.
having the music to come home to.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, the mandolin was my therapy.
Absolutely.
And
There's
it-
something
yeah.
escapist that
Right.
you can just
Yep.
sink right into the sounds and the vibrations that go on with playing that instrument.
Yeah.
And there's a
You're
lot
right.
of fun, and you get a lot of energy from playing with other people too. And so the pandemic's been hard on musicians. It really has. And it's been hard on us. We haven't played as a Bubba band. We played a few gigs last summer. Half of them got rained out, but we only wanted to play outdoors. And so I really miss that atmosphere too, because we've played together for over 20 years. And so, they're my brothers, and I got to see them all the time, and we would play all these gigs. And so I really miss that. And so I love you guys if you're listening. I know my one brother's listening, so maybe that's the only time I've ever said that to him. But yeah.
Usually you guys are fighting
Usually
on
I'm
stage.
fighting with them, but no, it's been hard, and hard on people that make their living as a musician too.
Yeah.
They've had to really get creative and stuff. So I look forward to when this all lifts and we can get back to a normal thing. But I will say during the pandemic, Fran really played a lot with different musicians in small little groups, sometimes with masks.
Just little
on.
jam sessions.
Little
to get
jam
together.
sessions,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Probably 3 times a week.
And teaching kids, I feel like I'm involved in music that way, and I really have enjoyed that. So I've put a lot of energy into that. I teach at the Waupaca. I'm going to put a plug in here.
Yeah.
Is that okay? The Arts Hub, which is here in Waupaca. We have music and art classes through the Arts Board's program, the Arts Hub, and it's over at the Methodist Church. They're generously giving us space. And it's been really, really fun to just have all these young musicians coming through and building that program up. So I've gotten my music fixed through that, I think.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
offer piano lessons and guitar lessons and drum lessons,
lessons
and
and
various
band.
art classes. and-
Yeah, it's a really cool program.
Yeah.
So that's been fun.
So what kind of music, is there a type of music that inspires you the most?
Well, for me, I guess I have a lot of music that inspires me. I was recently inspired by a band called the Claudettes from Chicago. It's a piano-based rock and roll / punk band, which we're going to have them come to Waupaca in June. So we created another concert just to bring this band up here. It was inspiring because the songs were so well written, so well done. The musicians were fantastic, and they were very, I think subtle. They weren't they didn't have a light show and all that stuff, but it was purely about the music. And
It's
to
very
hear-
complicated music.
It's complicated music, but also really catchy. And these days, it's just always inspiring to hear songs written with the same chords everyone's using for the last 50 years, and they're that much unique. They're that much different. So that was inspiring for me. Stevie Wonder is a huge inspiration for me. I think he's just, especially that time period when he did Talking Book and Intervisions. I would never get tired of listening to that music. there's some classical music that I'm inspired by a lot of different stuff, even Irish music.
Really? Even though you hear it so
Even though
many
I hear it
hours a
all
day?
the time, but it's got its own subtlety to it.
It does. And you just said you don't practice much, but every time I'm on a Zoom call with Marci, I hear you in
Yeah.
the background playing.
Yeah.
Well, I practice by myself a lot.
He
but
practices a
together we-
lot. Yeah.
Well,
I
I don't call it practice. I just want to play.
yeah.
I'll just keep playing.
But I mean, Ricky Lee Jones, I think, was a really great inspiration for Sean Coven. They were playing great music, and so many people play great music, but those songwriters, there's some kind of twist or something in those songs that make those usual chords so much more unique, and the melodies and the harmonies. And Donald Fagen is who I worship. I go to the altar of Donald Fagen. I just think he was the greatest. Walter
Very cool.
Becker and Donald Fagen of Steely Dan. Short answer, long answer. That was
No,
my
I like
answer.
it. Do you have any instrumentalists that are inspiring to you?
Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of Irish musicians.
Irish
Martin
musicians.
Hayes, and Liz Carroll.
Liz Carroll.
John
I like.
Doyle is a tremendous guitarist. And, well, I like Chris Thiele on the mandolin.
Yeah,
Something
Chris
else.
Thiele. That's a more common name than people know Chris Thiele. It'll be fun for Fran's Calathumpians to play at Little Fat Gretchen's, and hopefully, it might be a situation where we ask people to mask, vaccination, but it'll be worth it to hear that music. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still 6 weeks away, so maybe
Yes.
things will be better
Come on,
by
you
then.
guys.
I don't know. We'll see.
What about your favorite kind of audience to play for?
I like a dancing audience.
Yeah, me too.
A dancing audience.
Well,
We
when
really
our
like a
big
dance-
band
when our
plays,
Big band plays, yeah.
it's a world of difference if we're playing somewhere where no one dances versus people dancing or having fun. I mean, a lot of times there's people that are enjoying it and listening, but it's still more fun when they dance. And some events are not really dancing events, although people want live music. Like class reunions are seldom much dancing because everyone's reuniting and talking. They're not really going to go dance. And weddings, we hardly ever play weddings anymore. We only played a few, but they seem to be more like that too. The beginning there would be just a little dancing, usually grandma and a bunch of toddlers, which was cool. But then they all had to go home and go to bed.
And the young people come out.
Sometimes, yes, and sometimes there wouldn't be a lot of dancing. I don't know.
Well, I think that you get a lot of energy back from the audience
Yeah.
if they're in the music with you, so that's always cool. Playing a listening concert is also cool, but I get super nervous if we're playing my music. If it's Bubba, I'm not so nervous because I'm just part of the band. But if we play my personal music, like we're doing tonight, I'm a little nervous right
What
now.
about when you play with Hillary? That's a listening audience.
Yeah, and when I play with my niece Hillary, we have this duo that we have played. I don't think we'll do it again, but it was called Ante Up. Yeah, I get super nervous and like sick to my stomach nervous. So it's just really weird, and I think it's because it's stuff that's my personal emotions, and now I'm putting them out there, and people know, and I'm not just having fun and I'm
You're being vulnerable.
Yeah, and you don't have a
I
whole
don't like
band
that.
where there's other sounds to absorb if you're not
Yeah.
quite there or whatever, make a mistake
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, so definitely the dancing audience is more fun.
Yeah, and usually they have requests and come
Yeah.
want to sing along and stuff, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Do you get nervous?
For those events, no, I don't get very nervous anymore. I'm not sure. Not as nervous as you, I don't
Yeah,
think.
I can be quite the basket case.
I mean, sometimes we go to
That's why we don't play a lot.
well, we play for some friends' weddings and stuff, and
Yeah.
there's some special songs that they specifically want, and we will learn them on the way to the event.
Yeah.
She'll be playing it on her phone, and we'll be learning our parts, our harmony parts on the way to the event, and because I guess we've done it enough to be comfortable with that. I'm not sure, because we're too lazy to practice ahead of time.
Probably
Figure it out.
just the laziness.
A little of
factor.
each, probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the next question was, how has your music evolved over the 30 plus years that you've been playing together?
Well, when the first maybe 6 or 7 years, we played a certain bunch of songs that we would play every week. And I think we even had like a song book. I remember there was a song book, and
I guess so. It's so long.
we would play the same songs, and so then they just kind of become your songs, and you can play them in your sleep, and it's fun and it's great. And I don't know. I was
we started
a little
playing
more shy
Johnny
in the
Clegg
beginning.
music and stuff.
Yeah, we
and
started bringing different
we
music into
pushed
the
different
group.
styles for a while.
Yeah.
Then the big band kind of
Evolved.
dominated, and a lot more Steely Dan and fairly more difficult arrangements. We had to work hard on them to get them in funky harmony parts and stuff,
Yeah.
and a lot of practice again. But once we got them and played them a bunch, then they got locked in.
Yeah.
So we got locked into a lot more, and a lot more, a bit more complicated, more people in the band, more parts to have tight. And that's where we kind of stuck with, we didn't play as much of your music, certainly not in the big band.
Right.
So
We have a few of my songs that we kind of stick in there, but we all grew up, like I said, with this body of music that we love so much, and we want to play it. And my brothers are phenomenal musicians, and so it's really fun for us to play that music, and that's what we do. I think that's kind of what people like to hear from us.
Well, we try to play songs that we have fun playing, and typically we lean towards songs that are better to dance to. Not all of them, but
Yeah.
but some songs are really fun to play, and then we play them a bunch, and we realize not too many people will be able to dance to it, and they tend to take
Right.
a second backseat to ones that are better to dance. And it varies per event. Some events are going to be very enthusiastic. Other events are going to be just more subtle or more quiet or something. We played for the Energy Fair and the MREA, I don't know, like 20 years in a row or something.
Yeah, we did.
Many years in a row. And I think that was the most enthusiastic dance crowd ever.
Wow.
I mean, the first song we'd do, like usually the first couple songs we'd start would be like
Heart of Gold by Neil Young.
no, well, maybe that, but that wasn't a
They'd
dancer.
dance. But they would dance
Van
to it.
Morrison. We played a couple of Van Morrison songs. I remember, I was working on in the beginning of the song, and I looked up, and there's this giant tent full of people, and I just reminded me of like if there's a big ant hill all stirred up, just all over, people just dancing. It's like, whoa! It was really fun.
That's very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
And
yeah,
then
so it went from kind of more, I'd say, folk songs and common songs to more complex songs, fusion-y type songs and original stuff. So it definitely has had a trajectory.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
more
But we
complex,
still
but you
like-
just learn your parts, so you're not really playing. Like now we play a few songs that we might play in the big band, but you got to carry the song. You can't just play your part.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Or you have evolved to the point where you're on your way to a gig and you say, we're learning a new song for the gig tonight. And you can
true,
do
Yeah.
it.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can,
We never would have done that in the early
Yeah.
years, ever.
yeah.
Well,
That's pretty phenomenal, really, when you think about it.
It's pretty dumb.
It makes Fran mad when we do that.
It's like, why
But,
are we
I've
playing a
played
song we
music-
never played before?
We've played together for like 30 years, but I've played with my brothers for 60 years. And we grew up playing music together. And so for us, it's like we don't even actually talk. We'll just be like, oh, let's do this song at the next gig. Okay. And then we don't even, like we're able to do that. And
You guys can do that,
annoys
but I
them.
can't. I got to learn.
It's very annoying to most people, and I apologize profusely.
Sure.
So how many different instruments do you all play?
I just play this and the octave mandolin, and my actual instrument is keyboards.
You mean in the band? You just mean generally
In general.
speaking.
That's it. That's all I play. I used to play cello when I was a kid,
Cool. Okay.
and Fran plays all these different guitar,
Mostly the
mandolin.
strings.
He has a
I have a bouzouki.
which is a big giant mandolin.
And the octave, and I can play piano okay,
Yeah, you can play piano.
harmonica.
Nice. Yeah.
Not like
I
you,
used to
Tammy
play some
Jo.
banjo.
Pretty,
No, not
pretty
like
narrow.
you, Tammy Jo.
narrow number of instruments.
Oh, but that means you're really good at those instruments.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
I don't know.
I'm better at piano than I am at mandolin, that's for sure. So,
Playing those instruments are fun.
Way fun. Way fun.
How do you handle mistakes?
terribly. I just
Do you make a face or do you?
It depends on the setting. Like if it's in the big band, sometimes, you know, like 10 years ago I had a head injury and I didn't realize it. It was right before they knew all about head injuries, right? And I just thought, you know, I had headaches and I continued to play in the band, but my balance was so bad that I would fall.
She fell off the piano
Fell off
bench.
the piano bench. That's when I started standing because I had a better base of control. And there would be times when we'd be playing a song and I would forget what song we were playing while we were playing it. And then my brother, who would stand behind me, would like either kick me or punch me and say, we're G chord or whatever, get back on. And, you know, at that time it was mortifying for me to make mistakes. And, you know, we get through gigs. Sometimes we have
It's easier to handle in a big band than
it's easier. Like if you're by yourself,
be covered up.
Yeah, that's part of the reason for my stage fright is I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake, and there's nothing to cover for me. Nobody to jump in and cover. But I think we cover for each other really well in the band. So nobody realizes it.
That it's become easier to handle. The hardest thing is if you're the lead singer. You know, I don't sing lead on too many songs anymore, but it used to periodically. What's the next verse? What's the next verse? And I'm almost done with this verse, and I don't remember the next verse.
Yeah, that's
And sometimes
very
at the very last second it comes.
It comes right to you.
And if it doesn't, you just keep playing.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Or someone will fill in for you or mouth the words. Or
Romy has that
he has an iPad
that he's dependent. I don't.
But
I use that because you don't memorize your song. You're always staring at it.
It is a really weird.
John will just sing the same verse over and over again.
He just makes up words. So everybody has a way they handle it, but it's when you're in a song and you know you're not going to remember the words and you know it's coming up in like 10 seconds and you're trying to think of it while you're playing and it's like its own special category of fear.
You have to let go.
You know, I don't know if...
You stop thinking about it. Let it come. That's what I do.
Yeah.
If you keep thinking about it,
I just
you're
go
not going to get
crazy
it.
when that happens to me. And it'll happen out of the blue. And then you get through it and nobody even knew that it happened. But to you, it was like you almost had a heart attack, you know?
Yep.
It's its own special weird fear. That's a good question.
Yeah.
We should ask other musicians when they come on the show how they handle that. That's good.
And when I played in the group, it was the same thing. You know, the group would kind of cover it, so it wasn't that bad. But if you're playing something by yourself, and I've learned not to make mistakes. I just learned to smile big and play something else until it comes up.
So, you know, when I was in college as a music major and I had recitals, I was a pianist, you know, and I'm like, first of all, I faked my way there. It didn't help to have the music in front of me because
You're playing by ear.
I played classical music by ear, which is stupid. I don't know why I did that. But I would just literally get sick. And just knowing that if one false move of either finger, it drove me crazy, really. It did. I have a daughter who's a pianist now, and she's doing really well with it. She played a concert recently.
Granddaughter, you mean?
Granddaughter. She played a concert recently, and she did make a pretty big mistake, but she just kept going. She didn't fall apart. She didn't storm off the stage or anything like that. It's something you have to learn to deal with. It's interesting.
It is.
Yeah. I feel like I'm talking too much.
You can't stop. Is what you can't stop. You got to keep going.
No, you got to keep going.
If you screw up.
Important.
In our big band, if someone makes a big screw up, everybody, the rest of the band just laughs at them.
Just going to ask you if you have anything on your bucket list.
Well, I want to go and spend some time in Mexico, and I want to go back to Barcelona. Those are sort of my kind of things I hope that we can do, and we may not be able to, but other than that, really, COVID has really changed the way you think about what you want. It's like there's very few things that we really need anymore. We've realized that 2 years sitting in there twiddling your thumbs. I mean, it's like, okay, I guess I don't really need all that stuff. That's how I feel anyway. And I've heard a lot of people say that. I want to get back to life. That's my bucket list, really. I don't know what yours is, Fran. We never.
I want to go back to Barcelona and go to that Irish pub that had that great session. That was so really fun. Musicians from all over the world. such
That's
good
cool.
musicians.
And that was in
fun.
Barcelona?
Yeah.
The Irish pub in Barcelona.
Yeah,
Cool.
we went from Ireland to Barcelona. We visited some relatives when I was dying in Dublin, and then we went. They told us there's some Irish pubs that play in Barcelona,
Yeah.
and
We went
Marci
there.
found one, pretty close to the Sagrada Familia, actually, about a block across this big square from it. And
Yeah.
it was incredible.
Well, and that's
It
the
was
thing.
great.
Tammy Jo, I don't know if you've been there.
I haven't been to Barcelona.
but
Ireland, yeah. But
That cathedral was almost the most inspiring building I've ever been in. It was unbelievable. And I really want to see it again.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite finished when we were there, and now I think they're getting to the point where they just put like one of the steeple caps on it with a big light, and I just would love to be able to go back there. We'll see.
That's very cool.
We're going to do one
I
more.
recommend it.
What is your last song?
It's called You and I. And this song has a really great ending. And
So silly.
so you have to listen to the very end. I hope we can do it right. Are you ready? Thank you for interviewing us.
For your
Oh,
patience,
thanks for
yeah.
being here
And we'd
tonight.
like
This
to-
was great.
Thank Josh and Wayne in the
Thanks.
control booth.
Controls.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
You and I. Snow is falling down, and we're really far from town on our own, darling, you and I. Oh, darling, you and I. Moon is on the rise, moonlight shining in your eyes on our own, darling, you and I. On our own, darling, you and I. 10 years has come and gone. 10 years we've been singing these songs, but 10 more years come to pass. We'll say our love was built to last, built to last. It was built to last. Sun is on the rise. All I see are sunny skies on our own, darling, you and I. On our own, darling, you and I. 10 years have come and gone, for 10 years we've been singing these songs, but 10 more years come to pass. We'll say our love, it was built to last. It was built to last. It was built to last. Morning sun and sky, watching all those wax wings fly on our own, darling, you and I. On our own, darling, you and I. On our own, darling, you and I. On our own, afternoon delight.
How fun was
She
that?
loves that.
I like that ending too.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.